These little girl statues are found in many important locations, and they share a pedestal with numerous important historical figures, all linked by this shared motif. But what's particularly unique and important about these little girls is the markings on their outfit. This pattern is the same as the one found in Raya Lucaria's debate parlour on the regal gloam purple flag or tapestry, and the outfits of the very headmasters of the academy. They are famous for their mastery and understanding of the wisdom of stone, and as primal glintstone sorcerers are adept in the art of soul transferal. The first time we're here, with few exceptions, we aren't exactly given the best opportunity to have a good look around. But if you have a good explore of the area at the Chapel of Anticipation, where we battle the grafted Scion, you'll notice a feature here that isn't found anywhere else in the entire game. Splattered in a few locations around only this area, around what are presumably graves, is golden blood. And the only beings that bleed gold are the Elden Beast, and allegedly Miquella. And speaking of regal divine aquatic beasts, the fire giants and their forge used in the divine arts have several serpentine-like dragon figures flanking it. There's been quite a back and forth about if or not these creatures are serpents, dragons, or something else. However, their human-like teeth are very reminiscent of the divine beasts and primordial serpents from Dark Souls. And yet, though this isn't something that can be seen without a free cam, these models actually have fins on them, much like sea serpents and sea dragons in mythology, or creatures somewhere between. Much like the fins found on modern dragons, who are a crucible of many different features. Standing eternally guard at the forge is a lone fire giant, tending to the flame of ruin. This giant is seemingly incapable of speech, reduced only to screams and roars, and has been bound to an eternal duty, cursed to tend to the flame forever. Usually, but not always, a curse is accompanied by some form of mark to denote its presence. And if that were the case with this fire giant, while the disgusting ears under their arms would be a strong contender, I would place my bets on it being the burned 2 fingers, located on its left hand. Given fingers denote intelligence, it would follow a loss of fingers could denote a loss of intelligence, like how 4 digits is fortuitous while 3 digits is viewed as a curse. And that could possibly explain both its inability to communicate and its lobotomized, unfaltering servitude to its solemn duty. And of course, as above, so below. Interestingly, or not, given who we're dealing with, it also has the exact same 2 toes on the same side that are also burned or marked. And while this may mean nothing, we also see statues with specifically their feet or hands desecrated, very likely meaning different things symbolically, such as in this video where I explore what the left and right hands symbolically mean, and literally in the case of Elden Ring, as well as the meaning and effect of the positions they're in. So I wonder what this is. Not a lot could burn a fire giant unless perhaps it's frostbite from their long-time enemies, or a certain black flame before it was sealed. A flame that could slay gods belonging to a certain queen, with innumerable ties to the person said to have defeated the giants. And after all, the small giants, otherwise known as trolls, are the only entities in the entire game that have eyes like those found on the Godskin, specifically those in the north who haven't been skinned and are still capable of channeling fire. The proportions of the outfit would suggest a large entity, and the beard is awfully similar to those of the trolls. If that interests you, I have a deep dive into the topic in this video here. One of the most beautiful views in the entire game is that of Farum Azula from the isolated Divine Tower. The floating city crowns a tornado and is surrounded by orbital rings made of debris, like the rings of Saturn or Jupiter. But what you can't see from this tower are the several other tornadoes that appear when you are actually within Farum Azula. Using the free cam, we can get a good look at these tornadoes, and there is a total of 4. 3 small sister tornadoes, and 1 mother tornado engulfing and suspending the entire city. One of the most tantalizing features of Enir Ilim is the regal, noble goat boats, found ferrying corpses akin to those on hero graves to the afterlife, like Egyptian funerary boats. We also find a variation with 3 sailors and a mountain with a palm met carved into it, a symbol we find all over the lands between in important locations as a primary motif, sometimes even hidden where we wouldn't expect to look. But something that many don't realize is that this goat boat creature, beard and all, also appears elsewhere, presenting fascinating cultural ties that go surprisingly deep. much like how the horned Banished Knight commanders who summon storms remind me of the horn scent and their divine beasts. The Banished Knights themselves don these goat boats on their chest piece, a set of 2 of them with the horns beginning to curl backward. We arguably again see these twin goat boats in Elfale, which, like the goat boats ferrying one, are instead being stood upon by this distinguished gentleman of giant stature, resting his family jewels on the pistil of a flower. Their horns are the same and are curving exactly the same way, and while their tails in this relief resolve into floral spirals. This giant is inspired by the relief of the god of the sea, Triton, on the Pena Palace, who is perched upon flowers and a scallop shell representing fertility, like the one Venus is on in likeness to the depiction on the Godskin stitcher, with both legs being tails like a sea creature. In this instance, likely being represented by these goat boats as a separated instead of combined motif, like separated portions of this god being grown into one. They remind me of the merman found on seats, or like Godwin's tail or the malformed dragons. But that isn't even the end if you take a close look at these beasts flanking this sprouting tree. They too have horns curling the same way as the others, but the giant is, allegedly, missing from this motif, and instead we see a plant akin to the one he was squatting on. So while it would be easy to disregard this connection and these motifs as related, if you have a look in the actual Colosseum, look who it is. Now perched upon a much larger tree that was once these twin goat boats. I have plenty more to say on these majestic creatures, including about their likeness to the twin birds and other twins. If you want to know more, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss my next long form. Coming full circle back to the Banished Knights, many people debate if or not their helmet was originally intended to have the dragon perched atop, or if this was a later addition, as those found in Farum Azula don't appear to have this feature. This, however, may be by virtue of the harsh winds of Farum Azula necessitating the protection, while those abroad don a dragon to show who they represent. And what may help to reinforce their association to the ancient dragons is their capacity to perform dragon communion incantations, suggesting they were potentially among the first to partake in it, as well as their presence around remaining dragon communion sites. The golden variation of their armor found in Lanedell, which sports many Farum Azula motifs, also sports this dragon. And what really helps to sell this is the storm-oriented moveset of these knights, as well as their commanders, who have a seldom seen dragon head attached to their own battle standard. And speaking of dragon heads, the ancient dragons sport what I refer to as a crown of fingers on their forehead. There are exactly 8 of these fingers, like the 8 fingers of Metyr, mother of all 2 fingers. And on the statues of these ancient dragons, on every single one without exception, we find not 8 fingers, but 2. And this isn't an act of desecration, as this feature is even found on those in Farum Azula, where the ancient dragons are still in control. This finger crown doesn't appear on the embedded ancient dragons, or the Elden Lord before the Erd Tree, who is instead himself twisted into form like the 2 fingers or Metyr's tail, both of which are used to commune with the Greater Will, a seemingly universally unresponsive god. Metyr herself bears a striking resemblance to the original Elden Ring within Farum Azula, with her tail as the arc where the bounty pools, her fingers as the roots, and her spiraling head as the contact point of the heavens to the mortal realm, reflected once more in the very attack that demonstrates this connection. And of course, her, bearing the Elden Ring and therefore the Elden Beast as I theorized in this video here. My next video will explore the depths of these connections, however if you are curious for more now, see these videos. While Farum is infested with tornadoes, it isn't the only building impacted by a bizarre crisis of nature. The Carian Manor is, as its map icon would suggest, infested with golden trees. And these trees aren't just strewn throughout the manor's grounds, the trees are in fact growing from within the buildings, possibly representing Radagon's introduction into the lineage. Another well-known quirk of this manor is that it's defended by a downpour of arrows, but what is not well known is the cause of them. E.G. mentions that it's a trap that's been put in place from when the manor was invaded, however what isn't well known, because we're never given a good reason to rerun this path after unlocking graces, is that this trap can in fact be turned off. This can be done by defeating Loretta's projection, meaning it was her that was firing these arrows all along. also meaning this projection itself is the trap E.G. mentioned, like Rennala's projection in her second phase, likely placed there by her daughter. And just like these little abominations dropping from nowhere during her boss fight, if you've ever wondered where these awful little blobs come from, wonder no further. They're scions, or essentially child clones, of what the game files refer to as mother slime. And we can see these small metal scions falling from their mother just like Rennala's scions in her boss fight. The implication of the file names of these slime scions, and Marika's connection to the Eternal City and Black Knife assassins are explored in this video here. Many people lament Miquella abandoning Trina to the depths of the Cerulean coast, but love born from dark notions will bend and cripple its stock, making it brittle, causing it to corrode from within. A metaphor for the corruption and fickleness of the heart, the fly in the ointment, identified by Goldmask. This broken, bending, twisted form is demonstrated multiple times. The Shadow Tree, its own avatar, the trees of Farum Azula, the Fingerslayer Blade, the D-Twins. Even Rennala, when she's been knocked from her golden orb, assumes this broken position, with Radagon's statue nearby representing the order or lattice that's now missing from her life, leading to her incomplete births, and her toxic love, born of dark notions, causing her stock to become brittle. Just like the flame palmet I showed earlier in the video hidden behind this obelisk, there are other such secrets in the ancient dynastic ruins that show it always pays to have a look behind. There have been some pretty impressive deep dives into the tablet at Felden John's feet. However, there's more information than what is presented on the front. First, located on the back of this tablet is the very same tree on the tablet he now holds, which is the same as the tree found on the back of these constructs, and at the top of these obelisks, flanked on each side by barely noticeable twin birds. And second, these tablets have a depiction on their side that has gone unnoticed, and it has a striking resemblance to, among other things I will explore in the next video, the Erd Tree's favourite talisman 2, the Halig Tree Sigil, and the Rotting Avatar Staff. And if you have a closer look at this talisman, you'll notice there appears to be something wrong with Marika's face. Specifically, it appears to be rotting, almost exactly like the face of Romina, a feature we also see on Rykard's face in his portraits and on Taker's cameo, with his final form also sporting features strikingly similar to Romina. Perhaps him forfeiting his flesh was to escape this affliction, given a snake can shed its skin. And lastly, on that note, Rykard's vibrant blue snake is a living crucible and is capable of forcing family ties. However, what isn't well known is that this serpent actually has a name. We get to hear the man himself say her name, in one of his cut voice lines. There were many Easter eggs in this video that are small teasers for my next long-form video, so if you like the content and want to see what all of this actually means, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming. And please like and share the content so I don't drown beneath a sea of AI. Better yet, sign up to my Patreon or YouTube members and help this channel survive and thrive in this new era of YouTube.